going to see types of software developers. So this is the important video for those people who are beginning their software career. So I will try to cover all the software developer roles in this video. So first software developing role is front-end developer. So this is important developing role because the people who are seeing the website see some elements. For example, if you are opening any shopping website like Amazon or Flipkart, you could see various things. For example, product list, and then product price, and then product position elements, etc. So those things are developed by the front-end developers. So there is an important role for the end users. These people work with the backend developers for getting the APIs and related stuff, and these people work closely with the visual designers. So because the visual designer role is to create a design that suits the user the best. So these front-end developers use those design to develop the front end. And then mobile developers. So second role is mobile developers. The mobile developers are also playing the major role in the software developing field, because for nowadays everything comes in mobile. For example, if you take any shopping website or anything, that the replication will be in the mobile application form also. So there are two types of mobile developers. One is Android developer and iOS developer, and there are some other mobile developers also. So majorly the main mobile developers are iOS and Android developers. They will also work closely with different backend developers, and they will try to get the APIs and related stuff from the backend developers. And these mobile developers focus mainly on the pixel and the visual elements. And the third role is game developers. These people work with the real-time gamers to develop a better gaming application. So these people have extraordinary creative and thinking skills. They will try to make those skills into a real life application. So there are many game applications available, and there are many game developers in India. And then backend and system developer, this important role for many developing purposes, many developing roles. For example, backend system developer does many things. They do database related activities, and they do the transaction related activities, and they do etc and etc. The APIs that were developed by backend system developers would be used by front-end developers, mobile developers, and etc etc. So that's the power of backend and system developers. And then application developer. So these people mainly focus on the features that are need to be implemented in an application. For example, suppose if you take a PowerPoint application, in that application you would see many features like edit option, view option, insert, format, slide, arrange, like that. So everything would be developed by these application developers. So these application developers would keenly watch on the features for that application, and then they try to develop those applications and features. And then data scientists, there is a trending role nowadays, because data scientists are playing a major role in our life. If you open in Google and if you type something, you would see the relevant ads at the side of your screen. The reason behind that is the Google is tracking your patterns and the day-to-day activities, and they are trying to suggest some relevant ads. So the patterns and the day-to-day activities are the data that would be used by the data scientist people, and they will try to make patterns, and then they will try to use the patterns for suggesting the advertisement and various stuff. In real life example, if you want to buy bread and milk, what you do is you would visit an nearby shop. In the shop, the people, you would have observed that the bread would be at the first rack and the milk would be at the last rack. The reason began that is, if a customer is buying a milk, if a customer is buying a bread, that customer will also buy the milk. That's a pattern that would be suggested by the data scientist, so that the people who are buying the milk, who are buying the bread, would also visit the other products which are between the first and last rack. So the customers would also buy the other products. That's the recommendation that would be given by the data scientist people to the shop owners. So that's the one real life example. There are n number of examples where data scientist people are playing a major role in our real life. And then QA, this is important role. Without QA, our software is similar to scrap, because QA is a quality assurance. Some people call it as a testing team, and some people call it as a quality assurance team. I call it as a more than quality assurance team, because they are maintaining the quality of the software. If suppose if your software has some bug, if that bug is very critical, then it would create financial losses and life losses also. There are many incidents that had happened in the past. So few years before, which means I think nearly 10 years before, one flight was crashed and nearly all the people in that flight were dead. The reason behind that is there was some software bug in that plane. Because of that software bug, people had lost their life. That's the power of QA team. If QA team doesn't exist in software developing team, then that software is a scrap. So people test the software developed software in various ways. They do they do automation, and they do manual testing. So they will try to replicate some software similar to the main software, and they will try to test the main software using that replicated software. That's the power of QA team. And then algorithm science. So these people would try to analyze the best algorithms and science for the application that you are developing. So and they will try to implement these real-time theories into real-time applications and real-time they will try to convert the real-time theories into real-time applications. For example, if you are using Google Maps, you would have seen the shortest distance recommendation from point A to point B. That would be done using the best algorithms. So that would have done by using the algorithms and science team of Google. So and then embedded developer. So these people play a major role they play a major role, because whatever software that we develop, that needs to be worked with the hardware. So a software needs to work with the hardware. The intermediate part between software and hardware, there is some other software called system software that would be developed by the embedded developers. So for example, USB drivers and various things. This is one part. Another part is, if you are for example, consider a traffic signal. Here a software is embedded into an hardware. So this is another example. There are n number of examples where embedded developers are doing their jobs. And then OS developer means operating system developer. So the main role of the OS developer is to develop a best operating system. Currently we have many operating systems like Linux, Windows, Mac OS, like that. So the aim is to minimize the memory requirement and then maximize the performance. So they will do many features and etc. And DevOps is another important role. They will try to manage the complete software life cycle. So from start to end, they will try to manage the complete life cycle, and then they will try to deploy that application to the real world, and then they will try to manage the application in the real world. So there are n number of things that DevOps people are doing. We will try to cover those things in a separate video itself. And then security software developer. This is important role and the critical role. If a software doesn't have any security software developing team, then the software would be exposed to financial losses. The reason behind it is, if you're using any mobile application, any banking application, if that banking application has some security bug, if hackers use that bug and embed some virus into that application, then that company would face financial losses. So that's the power of security software developer. What they would do is, they would try to close the security holes, and then they will try to develop the security layers around the software, around the developed software application. So that's the power of security software developer, and they are doing many things. Apart from that, we will try to cover those things in a separate video itself. And then language or compiler developer. So this is another critical role, an important role. For example, nowadays we are using Java, C++, C and etc. These languages were developed by some other people. So we are using the framework for developing some other application over there. So that's the power of language or compiler developer. So they will try to do their best to develop some language, and we will use those language to develop some other application. They will try to keep many things in their mind, example time, memory and the performance, interaction with the OS and various things. And then full stack developers, though this is a combination of this full stack developers is not a role of software developing, it's a knowledge. Full stack developers are the developers who have knowledge of all these fields. For example, they have the knowledge of front-end developing, mobile developing, back-end developing, game developing and etc. So they can develop from scratch and they can easily deploy in web application, and they can maintain that web application for some time. So that's the power of full stack developers. So they have the breadth knowledge of all the fields, but they don't have depth knowledge of each field. For example, they don't aware of all the frameworks or JavaScripts which are present in the front-end developing, but they would have some knowledge that is that is enough for creating a web application. So that's the nowadays the full stack developers are the demand for full stack developers are increasing in a drastic manner. If you are having a knowledge across various fields, then you would be a full stack developer and you would be more demanded in this software industry. So these are the various software developing types that are in the software developing industry. If I have missed any of those software developing role, please try to mention those things in the comment section. Thanks for watching this video.